Welcome to the Retirement Roadmap by SHP Financial, a podcast empowering today's retirees and pre-retirees to make well-informed financial decisions that will help you spend more time living and dreaming than worrying and wondering. Join me, Matthew Peck, along with my co-hosts, Derek Gregoire and Keith Ellis, as we share actionable financial strategies and insights, as well as interview top thought leaders in the world of finance, accounting, and estate planning. This is all aimed at preparing you for the retirement you've always dreamed of. Our high-quality holistic planning process has helped thousands of families retire and create what we like to call the ripple effect. The Retirement Roadmap is your guide to financial freedom. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Well, welcome again to another edition of the SHP Financial's Retirement Roadmap podcast. I'll be your host today, Matthew Peck. I certainly hope no matter where you are listening to this podcast right now, we hope you find it well and healthy, and certainly if you're driving, two hands on the wheel at all time, of course. As promised, we wanted to use today to talk about the Secure Act 2.0. And if you recall, the initial Secure Act 1.0, if that's where it goes by, was passed in December of 2019. And so the Secure Act 2.0 was passed at the end of 2022. Now I get a kick out of kind of where it all happens historically. Point being where the initial one, the Secure Act 1.0, which changed some of these laws, which then got changed again, happened in December of 2019. Well, something happened in spring of 2020 that might have sort of pushed that news underneath the rug. And certainly too with the Secure Act that just 2.0 that just got passed a couple months ago, or whenever it was passed December 29th, 2022. So literally, Santa Claus had just finished his rounds, and everyone's getting ready for New Year's, and we're still kind of coming over our holiday, or in the middle of our holiday hangover. And while all of that was happening, Congress, in their lame duck session, was passing an extremely important law that changes so much about retirement planning. And in fact, has all these different impacts for people of all different ages, for people that are saving for retirement, people that are actually saving for college, which I'll get to in a moment, people that are already retired. It is amazing that such an important act gets passed, but literally in the middle of the night when we're, as I mentioned, in between Christmas and New Year's. So we wanted to take this time to make sure everyone understood the most important pieces of it. There was a lot there, but we certainly wanted to focus on the ones that we thought were of most interest. And as I said, wanted to get it out to you. Certainly encourage everyone to talk to their advisor about what it means to them individually. But sort of without further ado, I'm going to kind of go one by one as to ones that I found the most interesting in this very, very critical act that was passed. Okay, so first and foremost is the fact that the required minimum distribution age, or what's called RMD, was changed from 72 to 73 beginning in 2023, and then again it goes up to 75 in 2033. Let me pause for a moment to let everyone know what RMDs are again, just to kind of bring everyone up to speed. What an RMD is, or what it stands for, is a required minimum distribution. Now, what that means is that as you are working and saving for retirement, you are either putting money away into IRAs or 401ks. And if it's a traditional IRA or a traditional 401k, you get a tax write-off. So let's say you put $5,000 into an IRA. That $5,000 you write off on your taxes, and you're not taxed on that $5,000. So it's not taxed on the way in. However, once you reach a certain age and you start to take withdrawals, it's now taxed on the way out. And what the IRS does, or what the Congress says, is that by a certain age, you must take distributions. It is now a required minimum distribution, or an RMD, that you have to take at a certain age. Over the past couple of years, I was mentioning, originally it was 70 and a half. Then it got bumped to 72. Now it's 73 beginning in 2023. So this year, if you turn 72 this year, you're good. It only begins next year for everyone that turns 73. And then, as I mentioned, in about 10 years, it's going to go up to age 75. So this is important for a number of reasons. One, I appreciate the fact that longevity is becoming sort of part of legislators' ideas and retirement ideas. We're all living longer, and being forced to take distributions at an earlier age when we want to sort of protect us as we're living into our 70s, 80s, and 90s, the fact that you can delay distributions now for one more year or all the way to age 75, again, talking 10 years in the future now, is fantastic because it allows that type of tax-deferred growth to continue, compounding interest, to earn interest on top of interest, and allow that nest egg to continue to grow without taking these RMDs every single year. So important there for that length of growth. Also, we do a lot of what are called Roth conversion planning. So we do, which is a separate strategy that I'm not going to get into too much. But the whole idea is the fact that being able to convert old IRA money into Roth IRAs. And we used to say, okay, we can do this up until your required minimum distribution age, which sort of forces more taxable income. But now, okay, we have one more year now to plan for it. So it's important for existing Roth IRA, and it's also, as I mentioned, important for people to allow their IRA and pre-tax dollars to continue to grow that much further. Secondly, they're also increasing the catch-up contributions under retirement plans. So right now, we're actually going into 2023, forgive me. The catch-up contribution is $7,500 if you are over the age of 50. Where think of it as like, okay, if you're underneath 50, you can make a contribution into your IRAs or Roth IRAs of $6,500. Once you're over 50, they allow these types of catch-up contributions. Same idea happens in your 401k, and now you can do an additional $1,000 because, well, you're 50 years old, and they figure, all right, go ahead and put a little bit more into it. Now what they're doing is beginning in 2025. If you are 60 years old, now the catch-up contribution is going to be $10,000 or 50% more of the regular catch-up contribution. But think of it this way, again, very on a simple level, rather than $7,500 in a couple years, you're going to be able to do $10,000. More money, more ability to do a catch-up provision, more money going into these IRAs or Roth IRAs, more money into your retirement. I mean, I think everyone has probably seen those statistics about how, this many Americans, don't have any money in retirement, or this many Americans are living solely off Social Security. And, again, I'm not saying the exact dates or data at this point in time, but I think everyone has seen that and understands a lot of people have not saved enough. Now, interestingly enough, they have addressed that. But at least if people are, approaching retirement, now they're increasing that ability to make more contributions, add more of these catch-up contributions to allow people to try to feather that nest as best as possible later in their career if they haven't had a chance to. Now, certainly the earlier you do it, the better, putting money into it. And the Secure Act 2.0 also did that. So, for example, simple and SEP IRAs. Now, those are really kind of self-employed, small business type of plans. They didn't have Roth IRA options. Now, there are going to be Roth contributions that are allowed for simple IRAs, for SEP IRAs. Now, something that's already been on the books, but we certainly have been encouraging people to look into it, is into Roth 401ks. That's already been there. That hasn't changed with the Secure Act 2.0. But we're always encouraging people to say, hey, if you have a 401k, inquire to see if there's a Roth 401k option. Let me pause quickly just to make sure everyone understands the difference between traditional IRA and Roth IRA, or traditional 401k and Roth 401k, or now at this point, traditional simple IRA versus a Roth simple IRA. As I was explaining about the pre-tax dollars on the required minimum distributions, money that goes into traditional IRAs, you get a write-off now, so not taxed on the way in, but then you get taxed on the way out. With Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, Roth simple IRAs now, Roth SEP IRAs, so forth and so on, money is taxed on the way in. So you do pay taxes on that $5,000 or $10,000 that you put in. So it's taxed on the way in, but it's not taxed on the way out, which means that once that money's in that Roth form, it is tax-free for life. Tax-free to you, tax-free to your spouse, tax-free to your beneficiaries. Income tax-free, I should say. And that is such a powerful tool to have tax-free dollars in your back pocket. And two things of note. First, we always talk about tax diversification. So we love the idea like, hey, if you need the write-off, take the write-off. But if you don't necessarily need the write-off, take care, have some of these tax-free dollars. Because we would love to have a client have some pre-tax dollars, some after-tax dollars, think brokerage accounts, and then have some tax-free dollars. Have a little bit in each bucket. Again, everyone's situation is different. But that idea of creating that tax diversification is so important. As we mentioned, the Secure Act 2.0 really is adding, to that level. So I've been focusing on, again, adding more towards retirement. So kind of focusing on the people that are still accumulating at this stage. This is something that spoke to me that I wanted to share only because it was the fact that suddenly retirement planning and college planning now also got morphed together into this law. So, and I apologize because I'm talking about all these different terminologies and whatnot. So you might need to listen to this once or twice, and then you get to listen to my voice again and again and again. Oh, lucky you! So now let me explain what 529s are. 529s are specifically for college savings. So the concept there was that, all right, it allowed people to put money into an account. Now, you did get taxed on the way in, so kind of similar to a Roth in that way. However, if it was used for qualified educational expenses, then it comes out tax-free. So this was great for people because we all know the cost of college education. And I won't get into the whole student loan thing and student loan forgiveness. That's a little minefield there. But in general, people were very, very, especially grandparents, love this idea of 529s because they could put money into an account that's specifically for education. And no matter where you are in the political field, education's a very good thing, right? But there was always a big drawback with the 529s. If an individual didn't use it for qualified educational expenses, so let's say you set up a 529 for little Jimmy, and then little Jimmy becomes a sports superstar and gets a full ride. Well, now they have $50,000 in a 529, and it's like, what do I do with it? Do I give it to somebody else for their qualified educational expenses? Do I take the money out? Well, if I take the money out, it's not used, and if it's not used for qualified educational, I get taxed, and I get a penalty on top of it. Now, with the Secure Act 2.0, is that beginning in 2024, beneficiaries of 529s may roll over up to $35,000 during their lifetime, so it's a lifetime max, to the Roth IRA. I can't stress enough how great that is because, again, I'm going to go back to that example of Jimmy, right? So Jimmy's my son. I set up a 529 for him, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make sure he has got a great education, and he might go to Harvard. Who knows, right? So he goes to Harvard, but it turns out he gets a scholarship because of the fact that, again, he's a great javelin thrower, right? All right, well, now all that money that I put into that 529 is, again, initially prior to December 29th, 2022, it was going to be used for somebody else, or again, I'd have to take it out and pay a penalty. Well, now I could take $35,000 of that unused 529 and put it into Jimmy's Roth IRA. I can help fund his own retirement with that, excess dollars. So now it's like a win-win. It could be used for, educational expenses, which was the original idea. But if it's not used for it, now $35,000 can go into a Roth IRA for that beneficiary. It's just, again, it's just the best of both worlds. Education or tax-free for retirement. It was a great innovation that I was a very, very big fan of. A couple other ones that I'll leave with you, and I'm not going to go too long because, again, there's a lot here, so it's going to be a lot to digest. And thankfully, we'll be talking about it year over year. Time after time. You'll be hearing about it in the news, so forth and so on. So last couple, that I want to share with you in regards to the Secure Act 2.0. The first that I really, really liked, or the last little parts that I really, really liked, first was the emergency savings account. So beginning in 2024, employers can establish an emergency savings account where employees can save up to $2,500 in a raw-styled account that can then be accessed in the form if there is a qualified emergency. So again, do like that as well. So same as I mentioned about how you hear the stories of people who do not save enough for retirement. You also hear stories of people that do not have enough in an emergency fund. And what's worse, if if their car goes or the furnace goes, the roof goes or whatever, then suddenly they're racking up credit card debt to cover that necessary emergency. And we all know that if you get into debt, especially credit card debt, now we're going the opposite direction of everything that we're talking about. So having that emergency account that employers can establish, I think is fantastic. And also, I should say, too, I do love how they've begun to do automatic enrollment in 401ks. I mean, we're all procrastinators. We're all just like, I'll get to it. And so before this act was there, it's like we would have to be like, hey, Evan, who's our producer here, it's like, hey, Evan, I think you should enroll in the 401k. But if Evan's busy and he forgets to do it, well, Evan just might have missed 1 or 2 years that he could put money in. Now they're expanding the automatic enrollment. So now it's like, hey, Evan, you're enrolling. Now, if he wants to take the time to disenroll, to say, oh, hey, no, I'm good, I got this or that I got to pay for, then that's Evan's prerogative. But he's now going to be automatically enrolled. So we're forcing him to save for retirement, which I think is necessary, as I said, because we're all procrastinators. So really, again, ensuring or helping all of these different people that have already saved in the form of RMDs and delaying those, or people that are saving now, or emergency funds. Amazingly enough, guys and gals, some good stuff actually does come out of Washington, D.C. Maybe that's probably should have been my only podcast. Is like, hey, something good happened. All right, period. End of story. Imagine that. That's breaking news right there, if I've ever heard it. All right, last two. Last three, I apologize. So first it was called QLACs. QLACs were called Qualified Longevity Annuity Contracts. So that's something, again, for the longer term individual, where they used to be the cap of about $125,000. Now they have increased that up to $200,000. And similar idea, helping to get longevity, can kind of delay some RMDs with QLACs. That's a very sort of a niche little tool, but something that's now with this has expanded the use. I also love the fact that they've reduced the RMD excise tax. Now, this is something that we rail about all the time, where we say, look, hey, if you forget to take out your RMD, you're going to get whacked with a tax of 50%. Now, literally, the highest tax out there is if you forget to take your RMD. Thankfully, they've reduced that down to 25%. Still a hefty penalty if you don't take out your RMDs, but now it's not 50%, now it's 25%. So anything in the past where myself or any of my colleagues were saying, oh, it's the biggest tax penalty out there, now it's no longer. It's still a penalty, but now it's no longer as big of a penalty if you take out a massive, or if you forget to take out your RMD. And then last but not least, again, there's a lot still here that I didn't really cover, but I did want to just highlight the ones that I did want to talk about, is a retirement savings lost and found. So the Labor Department is going to create a national online searchable lost and found database for old 401ks, old 403bs, whatever it may be. And I get such a kick. I can't say this happens daily, but very, very often, I'll be doing a review with a client, or, sitting with a team, or talking to any of the other advisors here at SHP. And they will talk about how a client walks in with a letter saying like, oh, I got this weird letter saying I have $4,000 at this job after the job that I left before that job, which is about the job after the job that I left before this job. That was my first job out of college, blah, 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 right? And so money was just being lost or forgot because, usually it's like, oh, I got to do all this paperwork, like, for $2,000, Well, now there's going to be a database where you can just go online. I'm not sure when it's going to be established. That's as much as sometimes good comes out of government. It's certainly not exactly going to be the fastest thing either. but there will be this national online searchable database where every once in a while you can hop on and just be like, hey, do I have anything that I forgot about, that I forgot to roll over or I forgot to consolidate? I mean, I love this because it's just making sure that that people have that much more accessibility and connectivity to their money, to what they've saved. And so things aren't just falling under the, aren't falling through the cracks. And I can't stress enough, no matter where we are on all of these things, I do believe that in general, without proper planning, things fall through the cracks. People forget to enroll in 401ks. All right, great. We're gonna sort of close that crack, or whatever you want to call it, to make sure less people, forget to enroll in a 401k. We're gonna create this lost and found, so that, hey, if there's extra money here and there, we're gonna make sure that money doesn't fall through the cracks, right? We're going to increase contributions. So people that are approaching retirement, especially if they're very, very close, between 60 and 63, we're going to have even more or higher contributions so they can really catch up, especially if they did lose the time in their 20s and 30s when other things were obviously of importance at that point. They're allowing these 529s, they're merging college planning with retirement planning. So I love the changes to the 529s. And then for everybody that's already retired, that they're pushing back the RMDs, expanding options such as the QLACs or the qualified longevity annuity contracts, et cetera. So it's just, no matter where you are, in your life, no matter where you stand, either pre-retirement, about to retire, already retired, the Secure Act 2.0 has absolutely changed the game and allowed us to do a much better job at saving for retirement and being better prepared. And personally, I think we'll all be better off because of it. Thanks again for listening. I know I delivered a lot of sort of detailed things. Again, that second listening is always helpful too. I wish you all the best and be well.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Roadmap podcast by SHP Financial. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button so future episodes are automatically downloaded directly to your device. And if you've liked what you heard, please share the show. Create your own little ripples so we can help even more people with their retirement goals. If you want access to all past interviews, including notes, resources, and exclusive content from SHP Financial, visit shpfinancial.com/podcast. Thanks again for joining us on the Retirement Roadmap podcast. And for all the attorneys out there and disclaimers and disclosures, I'm just going to put on my super serious voice and add our own. No statements made during the Retirement Roadmap podcast shall constitute tax, legal, or accounting advice. You should consult your own legal or tax professional on any such matters. Information presented is for educational purposes only and does not intend to make an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies. Investments involve risk, and unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Our investment advisory services are offered through SHP Wealth Management, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance sales are offered through SHP Financial, LLC. Our advisors and insurance reps may offer clients advice and/or products from each entity. No client is under any obligation to purchase any insurance product.